All right. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well today. Thank you all for joining us online as we begin our virtual panel on leading sustainable development with social inclusion, innovation, and environmental action on the youth front. This panel will explore how young leaders are championing inclusive policies, leveraging innovative technologies, and taking decisive steps to protect our planet. By highlighting successful initiatives and sharing best practices, the discussion aims to inspire and equip the next generation of changemakers to integrate social equity, cutting-edge innovation, and environmental stewardship into their efforts. Our goal for all of you as attendees is to gain insights into the transformative potential of youth-led projects and the importance of fostering collaborative, inclusive approach to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And what better way to do this than to hear from three dedicated and passionate individuals who work directly towards these goals and have them share out about their personal experiences. So to introduce our esteemed panelists, our first speaker is Daniela Ortiz Millan. Daniela, originally from Mexico City, Mexico, graduated with a degree in biology from the Faculty of Sciences at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. Her professional experience encompasses education and environmental management. She served as a host at the Science Museum Universum and as an environmental interpreter at the Botanical Garden of the Institute of Biology at UNAM. After these experiences, Daniela joined the private sector as an environmental supervisor, and in this role, she continued to design, implement, and evaluate environmental plans and audits following the Equator Principles and IFC performance standards. Additionally, Daniela has participated as an evaluator of proposals for the IUCN Congress, advocated for Oaxacan producers, served as a speaker in outreach activities targeting female science students, and volunteered in various community initiatives. Nowadays, she's a student in the master's program in systematic management of natural environments at Ecological de la Frontera Sur in collaboration with the Université de Sherbrooke, Canada. She is currently completing her courses and she is an intern at the Commission for Environmental Cooperation of North America in Montreal, Canada in March 2024 and focusing on traditional ecological knowledge. Our second speaker is Sophia Suganuma. Sophia Suganuma is a founding director of Cardinals, the world's largest youth-led climate advocacy organization, and she has launched and scaled the organization's international chapter program and fundraised over $500,000 for climate initiatives. She represents Climate Cardinals on FIDUTAM's Emerging Technologies Youth Board, and she has spoken about her work for events with the World Food Forum and the UN Food and Agriculture Organization and the US Interagency Group on Climate Literacy. She's also a student at Oxford University studying politics, philosophy, and economics. And finally, our final panelist is Runako Gentles. Runako Gentles is an international student from Jamaica who just graduated from MIT, completing his bachelor's in engineering. In the fall, he will be going to Stanford University for master's in environmental engineering. And Runako recently became an ambassador for Hack for Earth, a global hackathon for generating innovative solutions to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Runako is working towards combining his love for music, public speaking, and entrepreneurship to be a young leader in the realm of sustainable innovation. So thank you so much for being here today and for being willing to share and promote the topics that we will soon discuss. And I almost forgot to introduce myself. So my name is Roy Yushu, and I'm currently a high school student working with IYC. And I'm super happy to be able to host this panel and to be able to moderate and personally take some of the notes, or personally take notes of some of the things that we will talk about today. So I'm super honored to be here. And this panel structure will be framed around a few guiding questions, which I will ask to our panelists to help initiate the discussion. And after I ask each question, I'll give the floor to each of our speakers and have them offer their personal perspectives. And if time permits, we'll be able to take questions from online participants at the end. So without further ado, if it's fine with everyone, I will start off with the first question. So how can young leaders effectively integrate social inclusion into their sustainable development initiatives, ensuring that marginalized communities are actively involved and benefited? Anyone want to jump in first? Sure. Sophia, Suganuma.
Of course, I'm happy to jump in. So nice to meet you all. I'm here on behalf of Climate Cardinals. We're a youth-led climate nonprofit working to make climate education accessible to everyone, most notably non-English speakers. I think the first step to improving inclusion in any organization is to make sure that it's accessible to all. The way we've done that primarily in the past has been through our translation process. This is something that not a lot of people are aware of, but 90% of all climate research about the natural sciences is written exclusively in English, yet more than 80% of the world does not speak English as a language. So there's a huge disparity in the amount of information that's going around. And the first step that we can kind of take to bridging that gap is making sure that we're not only getting people involved, but we're making them aware of the opportunities that are available. And I think that starting off in your local communities is the first step. That's what I did. I joined Climate Cardinals as a founding director when I was just 15 because I was aware of the local communities in Japan that needed access to more climate opportunities. And then trying to build on that, I worked towards larger area of just Asia as a whole, and then eventually trying to make sure that there are climate opportunities across the world. But for me, I think the largest step I took was the smallest one in my head, which was just making sure that my friends in my local communities and in my schools were able to really have access. So I really encourage each and every one of you, even if it's just one person, it's a monumental impact. And the first step is always the hardest.
Thank you for that. Daniela or Runako? Either one of you want to speak? Sure, Daniela, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the team that organized this International Young Conference. Thank you, our panelists of today. I want to share that my experience in the Commission for the Environmental Cooperation is one of the most exciting experiences in my life. It's true that sometimes we have experience in the school, we have experience in our jobs, but we have to find this space that the integrated social inclusion is available. So this commission is intergovernmental commission between the government of Canada, Mexico, and United States, and promotes the collaboration between these countries to preserve, conserve, and promote the sustainable development, and also to conserve the natural resources of these three countries. Regarding to integrate social inclusion, here in the Commission, we have clear that the communities are part essential of the conservation. We don't thinking about conservation without thinking of the social dimension of this nature. So in this way, in the Commission, we try to develop some strategies, protocols, and principles to work with indigenous people in North America. First of all, for us, it's so important to recognize and respect indigenous people, all the diversity in these countries, diversity of cosmovision, diversity on knowledge, diversity on our perspectives. So in this way, the Commission also work with the active participation of indigenous people in different ways, creating some forums, workshops, also some programs that try to open the opportunity to involve the communities with their purpose initiatives. Finally, I want to talk about that in the Commission, we have the purpose to strengthen the capacities of the indigenous people and communities, facilitating access to financial resources, supporting the development of community structures that are now in the communities. So we respect this This relationship also we try to work alongside with the different indigenous communities in an appropriate way, respecting their culture and respecting also the ways of their living. Finally, we promote some programs for to emphasize the participation of women, young, elder, and children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniela. And Runako, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you. And thanks for the introduction as well. I actually just graduated from MIT today. Received my diploma this morning, and yeah, it's been a wonderful experience. Just said goodbye to my family. I tell them, okay, I have to join this panel now. But to answer this question, I'll share a little bit of my experience in a program at MIT called MIT D Lab. It's a program that focuses on international development, and their slogan is building a more equitable world. And one of the key things that they teach is you want to help people, right? Don't just build a solution for them, build with them. And building with the people you want to help, that would involve interviewing them, and the multiple stakeholders will be involved. And so as like aspiring innovators like myself, this program helped us to learn more. How do you think of the community that you want to impact, and not just build from a distance, but learn from their experiences and hear their ideas as well. Like for example, I know indigenous people, they have a lot of knowledge, but sometimes it's undermined because we think experts are mainly those who graduated from schools like MIT or have a degree or whatever. But learning from them as well and seeing how they'll be impacted, so that when you're thinking of trying to improve the lives of these marginalized people with your solutions, you're not just building something from a distance that didn't include them, but you're building alongside them, learning from them and taking in their perspective. And you realize you can create a solution that actually they'll desire it and you'll actually work. And one of the things my team did when I took a class in this program, we built we called it a chill wagon, where we had a bicycle trailer with shading, and used evaporative cooling to keep fruits cool for long distances. They're being taken in South Africa. That was a arid environment. And we learned through interviewing them that mainly females would probably be the ones to transport the goods. And so we had to make a bike that would be suitable for female transporters. So you had to listen and learn and what's the right weight, what type of terrain and whatever. And building from a place like MIT, you have to think about what resources are available in South Africa. So yeah, you want to help them, but you have to listen well to who will be the end user. So essentially, not just build for people, build solutions for them, but build with them.
Thanks a lot for that. Very powerful things all around. I think some of the key takeaways from all three of you is that we really need to just interact and get involved with all of these groups of people. I think Runako said we need to build with these groups of people, not just build something for them. And we need to really talk about them and talk with them, and be mindful of groups like Daniela was talking about. We need to be mindful of the indigenous groups and show them respect, and host forums and workshops to be able to involve them. I think Sophia also talked about how there are a lot of barriers, like language barriers, and it's just really important that we start in our local community and we can build outwards. So I think that was really powerful. I think we can move on to the next question, which would be, in what ways can grassroots action be prioritized and incorporated into youth-led sustainable development efforts to address pressing ecological challenges? Anyone want to take a stab at it? Sure, Daniela.
Thank you. Yes, I think the most important thing is active participation. Active participation in environmental issues identification and solution. In this case, here in the Commission, we have the Traditional Ecological Knowledge Expert Group. This is a group that was established in 2014 and is a panel to contribute to the Commission to identify priorities, perception, and concerns that are involved in the indigenous people from Mexico, Canada, and United States. In this case, the Traditional Ecological Knowledge Expert Group has the objective also to enhance the collaborative understanding of the environment and facilitate more information about what happened in every indigenous people, nation, through these countries, but more about that is to be how to be more sensible at the realities and the diversity. It's true that every country has different challenges, but these three countries share some of these challenges. In this case, we try to improve the way that we work with this group and also the way that we work with other indigenous people between the Commission and these groups. So this is a big opportunity to modify, to improve this operation policies and recommendations. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Sophia, do you want to talk?
Yeah, I would love to. I think one thing that I would also just love to add is really the impact of a collective. So I think the power of grassroots organizing and having the most basic fundamental unit of any organization is that with just one person, there might not be as tangible of an impact, but when you have 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, the scale of your impact is so much greater. And in addition to that, I think that really the power of grassroots organizing is that you have so many people across different nations that you have a diversity of perspectives, and that allows you to have a diversity of approaches. I know while creating Climate Cardinals, anytime we had an idea, we wouldn't just approach it from one perspective, but we would try anywhere from 5 to 10 different solutions. And that would allow us to kind of cover all of our bases and make sure that we're tackling an issue as broad as climate change, really as impactfully as we possibly can. I also think that sometimes when we're talking about the climate movement, I feel like a lot of times people have a bit of imposter syndrome. Like, I'm not really a climate advocate. I'm not really contributing to the climate movement because I don't do X, Y, and Z. But any little bit of climate action or environmental action really does add to the movement. And I think that that really starts at grassroots organizing. So I'm really proud to be a part of such a wonderful community of other climate activists that work within their local communities and also use that impact to then scale up on a broader global stage.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. And Runako, do you want to speak on the topic?
And I'll add, it would be great to see like more universities prioritize like promoting grassroots initiatives so that students can see, oh, there are locals or small community groups actively working on creating a very viable solution instead of just always thinking that to help you maybe have to do like an internship at a more established company, so like having like schools, it could be also high schools, or but like especially universities when students are thinking about jobs and creating solutions to see if we can better maybe when we're teaching our classes, if we can have like maybe guest speakers coming in and saying, this is an example of how I've been trying to implement this, use the material in this classroom to actually make an impact in my community at a small scale that just needs more support for it to become a large scale. So using like promotion in schools could help students see, oh, this is also a priority aside from just companies.
Thanks a lot. And Daniela, do you have something to add to what some of the speakers said.
Yes, I so agree with Sophia, because I think that the most important thing related with improve the social inclusion is the community. It's powerful the things that the community can do it. In the case here in the commission, we have a program. The name is North American Partnership for Environmental Community Action. This is program that improves initiatives that comes from the community, local community, indigenous community, through Canada, Mexico, and United States. We search to with this program to develop the initiatives that works in the communities and help to improve the environmental condition and at the same time the social condition of these communities. How I say in the first question, we don't think about the environmental protection without thinking about the communities. So I only want to add this information, also related with something that Runako said about the schools, this other space that we can try to do the change. For example, there are a lot of programs that involves with the commission. These programs are internship in university level, master programs in another schools, organizations. So I think that is so important, this collaboration between institutions inside and outside of them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all to all of our speakers for that. I think just to some main points that we can take away. The power of collaboration and collective teamwork seems like it's a very big theme. And of course, it's because we don't want to just have one or two people speaking out. We need to have voices from all around the world and all different ages, all different perspectives to be able to talk comprehensively and develop comprehensive solutions to these global challenges. So I'm glad that everyone kind of mentioned that the power of collaboration and how important it is. Additionally, we also talked about the importance of getting a university and like high school students involved, how we can get different university collaboration. So again, I think these are just some really great points to answer that question. I guess I'll move on to the next one, which would be what strategies can be employed to foster collaboration between young leaders, governments, and international organizations to amplify the impact of sustainable development initiatives? And yes, Runako, you can go ahead first.
This is a great question to start speaking about Hack for Earth, this initiative I recently became an ambassador for. So I'm interested in influencing change, like through like the work that I see young people doing, like through the UN initiatives, etc. But I also want to be involved in entrepreneurship and actually be creating the solutions. And another piece of my desire is to inspire as many people to do similar things, because like my work alone is not enough for the extent of change that we need like really soon to address some of these problems like climate change. And lo and behold, like Hack for Earth is such a wonderful initiative that combines, I think, all three of these. This is a global hackathon that tries to generate solutions for like the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And they're doing this through partnership with different organizations like the UNFCCC and even the MIT Climate and Energy Initiative and other groups all over the world. And we have teams coming from with people like all over the world. And it's geared towards young people as well, young innovators. Anyone's like welcome to join, like having a lot of young people come in and you come up with ideas, like you go and through like an intense few hours of or days of coming up with ideas for these different categories like water, energy, transport, food insecurity. And the great thing about Hack for Earth that we don't just stop at the ideas and like who won those categories. Then we try to turn these ideas into realities by helping the winners like go through like an accelerator program called Build for Earth. And so we're about to like have our fourth hackathon at COP29. We're at COP28 last year, COP27, and the Exposition 2020 in Dubai a few years ago. And it's like this is a great way to get people to actually meet up with the different organizations while also building things to market, bringing solutions to market that actually will help to see change. So I'm really excited about working with Hack for Earth and promoting it.
That's really cool. That's actually really inspiring what you're doing with Hack for Earth. I think that's super cool how you're able to kind of take these ideas and generate global perspectives, but also be able to push that beyond and follow through with these ideas. So you're not just stopping at the end of the event, but you actually really help these youth continue going. So I think that's really awesome. Sophia, do you have something to say about the question?
Yeah, I would just love to jump in. I've been kind of taking a peek also at the comments. And one thing that I've been seeing a few comments about is that one of the largest barriers to climate action and also collective organization is just language. And that's something that has always been in the forefront of my mind and very topical to my nonprofit. We do a lot of climate translation work and just general translation opportunities for any form of scientific information. And that's something that I'm incredibly passionate about in a lot of these organizations, whether they're youth-led, government-led, or privately led. When you're having these discussions, even though the hope of it is to be inclusive, a lot of times they're taking place in the language that's not in your head. So for instance, my first language is Japanese. I'm translating everything that I'm thinking into another language and expressing it to everyone here. And I'm sure that's true for many people in the comments and some of my other speakers. I see a lot of head shaking. I think that one of the biggest barriers truly is language, and not being able to have a debate or really talk about the experiences you've had in the language that you've had those experiences, and if that makes sense. And I'm really trying to work towards improving that through translations. And I also think that the second step is having more accessible opportunities for youth. So there are XYZ other conferences, all these programs, they require fees, you have to be in certain countries, you have to speak certain languages. So really promoting opportunities like this, where they're virtual, they're free and open to everyone, they're online, that allows for a lot more accessibility. And that's something that we're also actively working towards. All of our programs are virtual, remote. You can be in any country and you can speak in any language. And that's a huge priority. I think that if you really want to prioritize social inclusion and having a diverse group of people, you need to set the stage for that. So there needs to be opportunities that are free, there needs to be opportunities that are digital, and there needs to be opportunities in the language that you speak in. But I'm really excited to see more and more events like this to continue popping up. That really shows that, I mean, people are listening and that there's a little bit of a change going on.
Yeah, most definitely. I think really powerful stuff talking about language. I think that's such a relevant issue nowadays, because if we really want to hear everyone's voice, we can't do that if people don't understand what's going on and if they can't partake in some of the opportunities that or some of the conferences that we're hosting, because whether there are fees or there's transportation limitations or any of the above, it's just really challenging to get everyone in if we have these barriers. So I'm glad that your organization is able to do all this work with language translations to be able to make these opportunities more accessible to different groups of people. And yeah, I'm really happy that that's happening. And finally, Daniela, do you have something to add as well?
Yes, I feel so empathic with Sophie, because also my first language is Espanol, Spanish. So yeah, it's true. Related with the language, I think that we have to develop to open secret places for to share of points of view. secure places that give us the opportunity to speak in our language or the language that all feels more comfortable to share with our points of view. Also, this space that are secure for our perspectives, for our realities, for all the things that we that touch in our lives and touch in the way that we related with the sustainable development, with the environment, with the challenges related with climate change, for example. So in this case, I think that the forums in virtual or in presential way is amazing because you start to find that maybe that something that happens in your country, in your context, is happening in others, and how the others inspires you to improve your reality. For us in the organization, in the commission, we have the opportunity to develop, to design, and to implement uh, different formats of this interaction between leaders, governments, and international organizations. We have some forums, conference, roundtables that are so exciting because it's the way to share different points of view, different contexts, and try to find some a common solution of these problems that we have in this moment in the world. In some of the roundtables that I really enjoyed it was a roundtable related with traditional ecological knowledge. That in this roundtable I had the opportunity to listen the experience of different indigenous representatives that are working for to protect the traditional ecological knowledge in the countries Canada, Mexico, and United States. I feel so comfortable to find this space, for example, related with the language, that they had the opportunity to speak in English, French, or Spanish because you have translators. Also, the opportunity to speak about creativity solutions that inspire you for to protect the traditional ecological knowledge. So only for to close this question, one of the most important space here in the commission is the council session that it happens in the next session happens in June. So it's a um, free event that you can listen online, and also there are opportunity for some people to arrive to this conversation, are involving young people, young leaders, governments, international organizations, and it's a space for to talk about challenges in our different contexts.
Thanks a lot, Daniela. I think one thing that really resonated with me was having or the importance of having virtual connection and like international forums where everyone is able to chime in. Because you mentioned something about if you can connect with someone in a different country who's experiencing the same issues or the same challenges, then that fosters a sort of global connection. So I think the idea of having these virtual and more accessible international forums where we can really get everyone involved, again, it's that sense of collaboration where everyone kind of feels connected with each other, and that solidarity is able to help, I guess, build upon these global challenges and our solutions for them. So thanks a lot to you guys for that amazing insight. And I'll move on to, I guess, our final guiding question, which is how can creativity and innovative thinking among youth be harnessed to develop novel solutions for sustainable development challenges, and what support systems are necessary to nurture these skills? So I see, Runako, you could start off with this question.
All right, thank you. So for the past 4 years, I've had the privilege of being an MIT undergraduate, and I've seen firsthand that there are a lot of amazing and innovative students here. But unfortunately, not many of them are the majority of them are not necessarily thinking of sustainable development. And MIT is definitely trying to change that. We have initiatives all over trying to get students more engaged with like sustainability and climate, for in particular climate change. And it would be great to see more students like from places like MIT, but students from universities in general just thinking about, okay, how can we harness our creativity to address one of the biggest challenges of the century, which goes beyond not just how we live our lives, but how the other living systems survive on this planet, and how other systems on Earth like are being perturbed significantly. So one of the ways I've been trying to help play a role in that is through advocating for sustainable development to be more integrated into the core of multiple majors, and essentially turning what we already have into into what shows more clearly the need for sustainable thinking. And one of the ways I tried to do that, started off doing that, was through like a TEDx MIT talk that I gave in April, where I used my personal story of like growing up in Jamaica and seeing the impacts of unsustainable development, like the problems with are associated with like mining, but yet still the places that are mined for their resources aren't reaping the most of the are not reaping as much benefit as they probably should from having to see their environment destroyed significantly for those resources. But and My call to action was to for us like if a school like MIT could set the trend for using like having STEM related work just more clearly show the need for sustainable development, that could really help students to like all over the world start saying, okay, this is a great place to start using my creative geniuses to address some of these issues. So still working on that. I'll be working with the task force on undergraduate academic program, uh, for the undergraduate academic program, to see how we can make changes to the undergraduate curriculum to better like to let this curriculum better match like the need for this century of sustainable development.
Great. Thanks a lot, Runako. Sophia, you have something to add on to?
Yeah, I would love to add on to this. I definitely agree that there can be a lot of support from educational institutions, so high schools, universities, research organizations, but also I would love to highlight a really incredible youth-led initiative. So I don't know if many of you have heard of Connect for Climate, C4C. They're funded by the World Bank Group, I believe, but they're entirely youth-led, and they have this incredible opportunity called their Call for Solutions. So you can apply any sort of sustainable development related idea, and they pick, I believe, a handful of winners, and you get flown out to Rome. You get to present your idea to the Italian ministry, and you also get to have your idea funded. And they have winners from all around the world. So I know 2 previous winners, one of which now actually works with Climate Cardinals, my nonprofit organization that does translations for the climate movement. And I think this is a really excellent example of how creativity and innovative thinking from youth can be harnessed by other organizations and really amplified. So I know that a lot of times it feels like youth, when we have ideas, we can create a nonprofit and we can organize a bunch of other youth and galvanize our local communities, but it's often hard to get recognition on the international stage. And I really want to emphasize that there are youth that are trying to make a difference in that. So C4C is one great example of highlighting a lot of creative and innovative solutions. There are a number of incubators for nonprofits, incubators for startups. I really encourage you to follow any sort of newsletter that highlights these climate opportunities. We at Climate Cardinals have a newsletter that sends out a bunch of climate opportunities monthly. So feel free to follow that. Feel free to just type into Google youth climate opportunities. I know that Opportunity Desk is on Instagram. They showcase a lot of these different events and competitions that you can enter into. But I think that the single greatest amplifier for youth voices is really well-known organizations, whether that be like the United Nations or a corporation like Google. When we have that amplification on the global stage, I know that like we as a community can have that really great impact. But I think that the first step needs to be I guess adults and people other than youth kind of putting money where their mouth is. So I hear a lot of times organizations will say, oh, we love youth interests, but until you fund us and you can make sure that we can sustainably keep doing this, I'm not really sure if I trust you on that. So I'm really excited to see kind of the tide changing. Now more than ever, more youth-led organizations have been funded, but even in the past year, less than 1% of all climate donations went to youth-led organizations. But I'm really excited to see the up and coming climate orgs, the Sunrise Movement, Fridays for Future. There are dozens of different organizations that you can join. And I think that really highlights the creativity and kind of the innovation that we're trying to bring about in the world.
Thanks a lot, Sophia. And Daniela, do you have anything to add on to this question?
Yes, I'm so excited to listen about the things that Runako and Sophie say, because it's true that it's important to create this space to improve the creativity and innovative thinking. So I think one of the most important things is the mentoring. Try to find this space that youth can share their creativity, that they have it, that we have it. So also this space that we can listen to experience about others, experience about other young, about other persons who are working in the issue that is important for us. So in this case, I think that the mentoring improve our skills, mobilize, move our knowledge that we have it, and also amplify our experience. It's not only the others, it's try to put together all these things to create or for to innovate our reality. So for regarding to the commission, I think that it's so important to share with you that we have a program that is Generation of Environmental Leaders program. This is a program for mentoring that promotes the initiatives of young people regarding to sustainable development, regarding to empowerment of the communities. So now it's closed, but for the next year it will be open. So you can check our website, this information, because I think that this is amazing opportunity to listen what happened with the young initiatives in other parts of North America, and also try to create this collaboration that is so important to find solutions. Thank you.
Great, thanks a lot. So I guess I'll just kind of summarize what we talked about there. One thing that really stuck with me was actually what Sophia was talking about, which was that a lot of organizations talk about how they want to support youth and really do listen to youth voices, but some of them unfortunately actually don't do that. And I think that is something that we really should pay attention to. I think promoting this sense of like intergenerational collaboration is really important, because we need to hear the perspectives of the youth. They have new perspectives as a youth speaking. I think I have some interesting perspectives to share as well. So I think it's just really cool that going forward, I think organizations are becoming a lot more aware of this and sharing out with youth perspectives as well as intergenerational ones. So I guess that's really it for the guiding questions. So since we have quite a bit of time left, I guess we'll be taking questions from online participants. I see one that is already in the chat, which is, what do you think can cause global environmental action towards positive or positive global environmental actions other than options that you've already stated? So I guess what are some additional ways or methods that we can cause positive environmental action in the world? And Sophia, you have something to say regarding that one?
Yeah, I think two of the easiest ways that you can kind of take a shift or kind of shift global environmental action towards a positive side is one, making very conscious decisions in where you put your money. So look at who you're banking with, look at the purchases that you make. Are the organizations that you buy from sustainable? Are they making efforts towards being sustainable? Even really unconscious choices. So for example, Google is a bit more of a sustainable technology company. Microsoft isn't as sustainable. They don't do as much investment in cloud computing. These are really free, simple changes that you can make that can impact the world. The second thing is that I think making very conscious choices in who you vote for. So some of you all might not be old enough to vote. I'm starting to be able to be old enough to vote in a lot of different elections, and it's becoming more conscious to me. I think that one of the most impactful things about our generation is that we really care about people that are in office and we care about the policies that they enact. I'm just going to remain apolitical, but I think that trying to see what stance I have in environmental policy is something that we should all be a bit more concerned about. I mean, I'm originally from the United States. I would say that neither of our upcoming presidents are exactly the best for climate action, but I know that in the future, a lot of people in my generation might not be voting for either of the parties if they don't necessarily align with climate action. So these are all things that you can kind of take into consideration and have an impact on. But I know the second one, maybe you're a bit too young, so very easy ways are just shifting towards companies that are a bit more sustainable and supporting organizations that are known to be a bit more environmentally friendly.
Great. Thanks a lot, Sophia. Daniela or Runako, anything to add?
I would like to add something that I read also in the commentaries about how to improve the world in a way more morally. So I think that it's important to take into account this point in our initiatives. It is true that we have environmental issues but we have to recognize that these environmental issues are so related with social issues. So we don't, in the case that we have to work with the communities, we have to work in a culturally appropriate way. We have to respect the cosmovision, we have to respect the culture, the history of these communities. For us in the commission, in the case for Indigenous people, we start to develop these principles and protocols for to work with a right-based approach and cultural approach with the Indigenous people from Canada, Mexico, and United States. The objective of this project is that in our activities and in our initiatives work with recognize this diversity of the Indigenous people and try to do our activities in way that respect different contexts, respect the culture of these communities. So also with this project, we try to inspire other organizations to change the way that we work with the Indigenous communities. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Daniela. Runako, anything to add on to that? If not, that's fine as well.
I'll briefly say, like, educate yourself as much as you reasonably can on these issues and how you can take action at different scales. So that you would, well, as you're, even now, you can probably start taking action in some way, not necessarily waiting until, like, oh, when I get a job or when I feel qualified enough to maybe join one of these organizations or be on a panel to see what can you, what actions you can take right now. But it starts with like educating of itself a lot. It's great that you're on this panel asking these questions, and so you're learning from us. But like off the panel, even just in your spare time, just learning more about these issues and how you can make a difference with what you have right now.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. I see there are a couple more questions in the chat. So another one is, what restoration projects are going on, especially considering with all the floods that are happening, we can see in Brazil and Kenya and other countries as well. So what can we do to stop these natural disasters and inspire some global change? Anyone want to take it? Yeah, sure, Sophia.
Yeah, so I can answer a little bit. I'm originally from Japan. We are a bit of like an island country, and we have very strong typhoons. So I'm very used to all of the flooding, and it definitely has gotten worse compared to when I was younger. I think that there are kind of two routes that people take upon this. So one is prevention. So what are things that we can do to kind of mitigate and reduce the amount of overall flooding and kind of reduce the overall amount of climate emissions or carbon emissions? And I think that in a few countries there are a bunch of different tactics that are being used to do this. Governments are trying to set restrictions, taxes to kind of dissuade people from polluting. On the flip side of not just prevention, but kind of remedying this, how can we kind of make sure that the impact of these floods is less? And in Japan, they've begun building architecture along beaches. They kind of look a little bit crazy, but they're these huge blocks of concrete, and it allows for some of the water to be absorbed. So that way there's less damage to the land. And I know the real question they're asking is, what are we as individuals and as youth able to do about this? And I think that the first thing we can do is draw attention. So I think that one of the most powerful things about our generation is that we have kind of the whole internet and social media to our hands. So kind of highlighting the issues that are going on the global stage is super important. A lot of times, it's not that people don't care, it's that people are completely unaware that these situations are going on. So take it to social media, take it to your local communities, try to get attention, try to get into contact with local leaders, local politicians if possible, and really advocate for yourselves. That's the first step. And then I think the second step to that is, again, I can't emphasize enough collective action. So really working together with organizations, really trying to foster a community of people that's interested in making change. That is going to be so much greater of an impact than just you alone. And I think that together, if we really try to work as a community to fix these issues, that'll be, I think, the biggest step kind of leading up to COP29 and kind of leading up to all of these upcoming like major climate events. So like biodiversity COP, Climate Week, things like that.
Great, thanks a lot. Runako, you have the floor.
And that was well said, Sophia. And I'll just add that there's also like coral reef restoration projects that are really important, since corals also help to like protect the shoreline. And with their death, like shorelines are just receding significantly, and coupling with sea level rise, and also there's much land subsidence, a lot of land is subsiding too, because like as we're using a lot of groundwater for irrigation, like that causes the land to sink. So that there's that coupling. But I know definitely looking into coral reef restoration projects could like support your interest in like addressing flooding.
Thanks a lot. And Daniela, do you have anything to add? If not, that's fine as well.
Yes, only for Sophie say about the first step, take attention. I really love that phrase. In my experience in the commission, in my internship, I think that it is true that the most important thing is to take attention what happened in the communities, what happened, what are the priorities. And in the side of the commission is the sensibilization about these realities. Also recognize the point of view of the communities, of the indigenous people that are living in touch with these issues. and respect the way that they feeling about it, the way that they know affect their cultural life, their Winston life, and also the social, economical, environmental life. It's only the thing that I want to add. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Daniela. And I think we'll just take one more question because we're almost out of time. I believe question was asked, how can we promote entrepreneurship specifically in the labor class? Because some initiatives are only for educated individuals. So how can we engage the labor class as well? Anyone want to speak on that?
Can chime in.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh yeah, that is a great question. And I think I remember learning about capacity building. How can like we help, like let's say the those in the labor class be like better equipped to like carry out a project, on their own. And I think part of that is just how do we go about like maybe teaching them about like what work could look like. And so maybe having workshops like could bring in these laborers to see, okay, how can they take their skills, their craft, and actually turn it into a market, like a craftsman. Like maybe he doesn't just have to think about just building um like a piece of art, just just maybe on demand, but learning how do you scale that, so these, but like using their skills that they already have and see how they can scale it, how they can find like the right market to have like greater demand for their skills, and how they can like get people to join them. So like they there's a lot of skills like that are not necessarily like dependent on like education level that people have, but they just need to learn how to turn it into a viable business. So like maybe having workshops for them to invite them, and like building their capacity to like have these type of entrepreneurial endeavors with what they know.
Thank you, Runako. Sophia, you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything that you have to say, or that you already said, Runako, regarding capacity building. I also know that there are quite a lot of free online resources that you guys can check out. So if you're in like very early stages of entrepreneurship, there's a podcast by NPR called How I Built This. They have a range of entrepreneurs, from people who started like beauty brands all the way to people who have like very large corporations. In addition to that, if you already have an idea, you can check out Y Combinator. They're an entrepreneurship incubator. They have a bunch of videos and free resources online. This allows you to learn a lot more about how to create your own business. There are videos, there are like little manuals. So if you prefer written text, you can watch those as well. And then lastly, if you already have a business, like a small business or a startup that you're building, there are a number of free online resources to kind of help you continue like sustaining it. So for instance, LegalZoom gives free startup legal knowledge. I think that it's only for the US law system, but I'm sure that there are alternatives for around the world. ChatGPT now makes it easier than ever to just answer questions for things that you don't really understand. So I really encourage you to take advantage of another thing that I just thought of was crowdfunding. So if you need to do fundraising, but you might not be able to in your local community, there's a bunch of Kickstarter campaigns that you can hop onto. So I think we're really in an era now that the internet is just benefiting us a lot. And I really encourage you to take advantage of that.
Very well said, Sophia. Thank you for that. And Daniela, do you have anything to add to that question?
Yes, for the time, I only want to say some words that I think that are important to mention. Building capacities with appropriate a cultural approach with a right pace appropriate. Also, networking is the most important thing. Find people that you think that improve the way that you want to go with your initiative. Also, find inspiration for to encourage you, for to encourage your team, also for to continue your way, continue your initiative, and to improve it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Daniela. And with that, I think we're going to conclude our panel today. We've reached 2:30, so that's unfortunately all the time we have today. But before we wrap up, I would just like to kind of summarize some of the key takeaways that we all discussed in today's panel. So I think one thing that really clicked with all of us was the idea of global engagement and the idea that we really want worldwide perspectives to develop worldwide solutions. And in order to do this, we have to eliminate barriers, including language barriers and attendance into forums and these opportunities in order to kind of talk about these issues. Additionally, we talked about the individual actions that youth can take themselves. One of them being that we really need to feel free to speak out and to spread awareness of all of these climate issues, even though it might not feel like it, like one voice is not doing much. If we all work together to talk about these issues, we're going to have a great impact. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons that we can take away here. So in conclusion, I think thank you very much to all of our panelists for their insightful comments. And thanks to all of you for participating and attending online in an active and engaging manner. The fact that like ultimately what our panel was about today is really what like all of us were doing. The idea that we're including all of those around the globe and promoting intergenerational collaboration. That's essential for society as a whole to tackle these sustainable development goals. So I thank everyone once again for such a fruitful and impactful panel. And I thank the entire IYC team for hosting such a great event. And we look forward to seeing you in the next panel. Thank you, everyone.